Good evening, and thanks for tuning in to Double Trouble on CTV Sports. I'm Grace Reeder.
And I'm Rachel Viejo.
We're a little bit warmer today than we were on Saturday after a blizzardy border war game. The Rams took an early lead, finding success in the run game and most notably Dalen Dawkins. As the weather got worse, so did the Rams. CSU failed to shut down Josh Allen on several key plays in the second half and had several questionable offensive calls. In the final minutes, down by 3, CSU was forced to punt and never got the ball back as Wyoming ran the clock. Rachel, between hot chocolates and drying off, we chatted about this game, but now that your socks are dry, what's your take looking back?
Dalen Dawkins is a beast.
Yes, absolutely.
He did wonderful against Wyoming, but I think he's going to have a really hard time this upcoming weekend against Boise because Boise has the number 8th rush defense in the nation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that they're going to have a difficult time against Boise. And this Wyoming game, I did not see a lot that I liked from the offense. They gained 345 yards in terrible conditions, which right now you can't tell in these highlights, but just wait a second and the snow will start rolling in. And they only had one touchdown off of that many yards. The Rams could not convert. They controlled the clock all the way through, but just couldn't finish. Nick Stevens had 8 of 14 passes and failed to throw a touchdown pass for the first time in 8 games. And that touchdown would have meant a lot for him because he would have tied Garrett Grayson for CSU career high touchdown passes. And now we can see excuse me, that snow got me sick. But as we can see in these highlights, the conditions were not good, so both teams took to the run game, but Wyoming was just simply more effective.
They were, and I think it came down to our defense, too. We really were not able to stop them.
Absolutely.
Josh Allen just ran over our defense. But I think we are going to have some troubles this weekend against Boise. Boise is the winningest. Like, that is just a hard word to say for sure. But
winningest.
I know, winningest. Football program in the nation since 2000, and CSU has never beat Boise. Granted, they've only been in the Mountain West for a few years, but they're still 6-0 against them.
Hey, you know, 6 wins is still enough to say that you deserve to be at the top of the Mountain West. That game is not going to be any warmer, I don't think, than the Wyoming game. Maybe less snow.
A little bit drier.
Yeah.
Maybe we won't be catching snowflakes like Tim
like
is
Tim
here. It is something else right there. But I think our stand-up showed pretty well how cold it was and how hard it was for the snow. But it was definitely rough to take a look at this one.
It's windy here. It's supposed to be pretty cold. You can't tell, but there's a storm rolling in here. Oh, maybe now you can tell. Maybe you can tell. Ram fans would have left at the first quarter because it is cold. It is very cold. A blizzard rolled in a little bit around halftime, maybe the second quarter.
News, stay warm.
And Mike Bobo had some words to say about how the game went and about Boise this upcoming weekend, and he was a little bit warmer than we were.
We don't control our destiny anymore as a football team. You know, we were in control of our destiny. We are not in control of our destiny because we lost 2 games in a row. You know, 2 teams beat us, and now, you know, what we control is how we get ready for this game and this opportunity.
We're just glad that our hair doesn't look like it did by the end of the Wyoming game. Yeah, it was. It was not good. Not to mention how wet our socks were. But hey, it's beginning to look a lot like Mountain West football.
Break, if you're just tuning in, first, thank you. And second, you're watching Double Trouble on CTV Sports.
Well, Rachel, it is that time of year. Basketball season is finally upon us. Let's start with the men's team. They had an exhibition game on Friday and then had a charity game on Sunday. What did you see from them?
Okay, first, Chibab,
Yep.
beast.
Absolutely.
He had 25 points in yesterday's match against UNC.
Yep.
But I think he's going to be really good, and I think he's showing a lot of potential. He wasn't able to play last year because of grade eligibility, which was unfortunate, but I think he's definitely showing true potential. Nico Carvacho had 16 rebounds, so he's showing he's going to be the big man, but I don't think Prentice Nixon has fully hit his rhythm yet where he wants to be, and I think that'll just take a little bit of time, and then he was the big hype man in the offseason, so it'll be interesting to see where
in the offseason, that's who we were talking about, so I was a little bit surprised. However, I think what CSU did prove is that they've got some players. They've got some people who can play. Raquan Mitchell played 20 minutes. I liked what I saw from him. J.D. Page had 18 points, and like you said, Che Bob, I was super impressed by him. He's incredible. I think he's going to be someone we're going to be talking about all season for sure.
Oh, when you brought up Raekwon Mitchell.
Yep.
The dude swiped a ball out of somebody's hand and then went back and dunked it. And it was huge. The crowd went wild. I feel like that's the kind of energy we need for these basketball games.
Absolutely. Well, the women also had a game, and they played on Wednesday. What did you see from that one?
I think that they're a very young team, and I think it's going to take a little bit of time. Ellie and Ellen left to go play overseas, which is very exciting for their professional careers, and we're happy for them. But it does leave our team without two of our main starters from last year. And we have a very tough schedule this year, playing BYU, Oklahoma. I think it's going to be a rough year for the Rams.
You know, I agree with you. Losing those seniors is going to be difficult, but I say that every year about the CSU women's basketball team, and then they always find a way to be at the top of the Mountain West. I really liked what I saw from Hannah Taverdi. She had 10 points. She was playing really aggressive basketball. I think she's going to be a leader on this year's team, someone coming from last season who played with Ellie and Ellen. I watched her grab a ball from someone on the ground. She was just fighting away on the ground, and I was like, all right, I like this. We're playing some aggressive football. Yeah, I like it.
That's what we need. I feel like people don't go to a lot of women's games because it's not aggressive, and I feel like once you add that, that helps a ton. And Hannah's a beast, too.
Yeah, she was making it happen.
And the CSU women's volleyball team is also clinching the Mountain West this weekend with a sweep over Utah State and Boise State. Utah State didn't put up much of a fight as the Rams offense was playing quick and making connections. Boise put up a fight early. The first set looked close, and the Rams only winning by a necessary 2. Per usual, though, the Rams progressively dominated as the match continued, handing the Broncos a heavy loss in the third set and finishing the match off with a sweep. Grace, we were on our way to Wyoming for the football game, so we were unable to attend that one, although we did listen on the radio.
We did.
But thankfully, we have our incredible volleyball reporters with us here. So how about you guys give us a lowdown? Zach, let's start with you.
Yeah, the Utah State win was a pretty big win heading into the weekend. Moves us to 24-2 overall, 11-0 in conference play. Excuse me. But yeah, the chemistry right now with CSU's women's volleyball team is great. You have 3 players over 10 kills per game. 45 assists from Katie Olesic, which and 38 assists against Boise. So that named her Mountain West Conference Offensive Player of the Week, and they're really meshing right now, and I think it's great.
Yeah, Katie Olesic just played absolutely. She's incredible.
She's incredible.
Absolutely, she is one of the biggest keys to the Rams' offense, keeping it going. And then Boise, they clinched the Mountain West. What did you see from that one?
We clinched the Mountain West. We're currently playing Utah State, we clinched the Mountain West against Boise. It was the 14th Mountain West regular season championship for us.
Yeah.
Huge.
And Boise won last year, so it was kind of like the Rams avenging last year's not winning. So it was a good game. It was back and forth. Boise was battling with the Rams the whole game. CSU was up 21-9 in the first set, and then Boise went on a 10-2 run to come back, and CSU ended up winning that one 25-22, which was good. And then in the second set, CSU jumped out to a big lead again, and they closed that one out. And the third one, the Rams and Boise were back and forth. There was 12 lead changes and 7 ties. So
That's crazy.
It was a back and forth game.
And did they get the confetti at the end?
There was no confetti at the end, unfortunately.
Come on.
It's disappointing.
I couldn't even believe it. I mean, I think that's sort of the team's morale is just to stay focused and to stay poised. And they still have 5 games on the schedule, so I think they're going to stay focused and try to win the rest of them.
So, speaking of going into the rest of the season, what do you think the Rams need to work on, and what are your predictions for them postseason?
Well, this is a group of seniors who went to the NCAAs their freshman year, and they reached the Sweet 16. They beat CU in the round of 32. So
we like those CU wins.
We do. We'll take them when we can get them.
Definitely. But I think the Rams are definitely just going to have to limit their errors, so service, hitting errors. If they limit that, and then if they play well in the long rallies, because I think sometimes that just surprises them, and other teams, they return some of the crazy serves and hits that we have, and they sort of just get down, and we lose the long points to the good teams. So if they can just do that, stay controlled on offense and limit the errors that they have, then I think they'll be good.
How far do you think we can go in the tournament this year, both of you?
I'm going Sweet 16 again.
Sweet 16, I like it.
I'm right there with you.
I think we definitely got to reach the Sweet 16 again. When you look at the top teams in the country, it's hard to say CSU isn't one of them. You know, we're in the Mountain West, but we have a strong team here, and we're always one of the best in the country. So look forward to us to go deep in the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and also we'll be hearing from them throughout the end of the season, reporting some volleyball for us.
Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to the FOCO Sports Show. I am your host, Tim McCall, and we're going to go ahead and go through a couple of the big sports stories here in Fort Collins. I'm joined by a couple members of the Rocky Mountain Student Media. You guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
I'm Nick Baker from KCSU.
I'm Eddie Harris of the Rocky Mountain Collegian.
And I'm Javon Harris from the Rocky Mountain Collegian as well.
So, guys, we're going to start off talking football. CSU had a tough matchup this week, and we just saw it was quite a blizzard. We traveled up to Wyoming, got to see the Rams take on the Cowboys in a blizzard, and got to see one of the best quarterbacks in the country in Josh Allen up in Wyoming. The Rams wound up losing that game 16-13. What do you guys think it means going forward for the CSU Rams?
Well, first and foremost, the defense got complacent, and they've done this the whole season, and they started off really good, and then they saw the offense fizzle out and fizzle out and fizzle out, and it kind of encouraged them to go back to their complacency. They went right back to it and just let Josh Allen shred when it mattered most. And when that happens, there's not much you can really do. Right. And the tackling is what bothered me the most. There was just no desire to tackle. They were, throwing their shoulder at people. They were, arm tackling people if they got their arms out even. And it was just incredibly disappointing from all standpoints. They're just content with what they're doing, and they're not drive to do anything.
Now, for those viewers who are just joining us, just saw our buddy Brian running. He is a very hot commodity. His time's really hard to come by. He's really busy with a bunch of different media things. So we were able to get him on. He just came on a second too late. So thank you so much for joining us, Brian. We're in the midst of talking about CSU football and what this loss last week means going forward for the team.
Well, honestly, I think you start selling stock in CSU football the second the clock hit zeros last night. As a matter of fact, the second the fourth quarter started, this team doesn't have any fight in them. They don't have any drive. All the common pieces you see in a football team that's capable of winning football games that they shouldn't or are close aren't there. They haven't been there all season, and we're starting to see more and more of it. It's manifesting itself. It's almost like a disease. You start to see the defense not play well, so the offense doesn't follow them. Or the offense isn't quite playing well, so the defense starts to linger. Instead of one side picking up the other, they're both kind of collapsing.
Yeah, and then when you have a special teams mishap where you're dropping a snap, not even getting a kickoff, it just really brings down the morale of those other two units. Now, Eddie, you wanted to add something there. I didn't mean to cut you off earlier.
Oh, absolutely, no problem. I was going to say, agreeing with you, the Mountain West is said and done in terms of CSU. It's between Boise State and Wyoming. I'm not one to make excuses for CSU. A loss is a loss, obviously. But going in, I think CSU looked way better than Wyoming did on paper. And like I said, I'm not here to make excuses. But the adverse weather conditions, the rain, the snow, you guys were there, obviously kind of favors an underdog in games like that, because with weather that poorly, no team is going to be able to move the ball, meaning it's naturally going to be a closer game. It was already supposed to be pretty close. It's a rivalry. CSU's bread and butter is moving the ball through the air, and they're not able to do that in weather like that. Nick Stevens only attempted 14 passes. That's the lowest of the season. Michael Gallup, 29 receiving yards, second lowest of his career. The weather made it so CSU couldn't really move the ball in the air, and that's just bad timing for them. They needed a bounce-back win. I think without that weather, they were in a good spot to do that, but they couldn't really pass the ball. Daniel Dawkins looked great. He did. He's rushed for 100-plus yards already 5 times this season. He only did that 5 times last year. He's averaged 5-plus yards per carry over his last 8 games. He looks great, but this team also needs to move the ball through the air. That snow kind of inhibited that from happening.
I'd have to add something there to you. Do you think what I've been seeing, what I've seen on the game was, I don't think Mike Bubble has any faith in Nick Stevens. Granted, absolutely. There was snow, but let's reverse the roles. Let's put Josh Allen on CSU. You think that Mike Bubble is going to let him throw the ball, regardless of of the weather?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think so too. I just think that we're starting to see his faith in Nick Stevens just go down the drain as these games.
And I think it's disappointing because you have to have faith in your quarterback.
Exactly.
They thrive when Stevens does well, and we didn't even give him an opportunity to do well last week.
They run the ball on a fourth and
6.
Come on.
There wasn't faith in anybody in this game either. Michael Gallup had 0 targets in the fourth quarter, or in the second half actually. 4 passing attempts in general in the second half.
Once it started snowing, they CSU that is, completely gave up on the passing game.
Bobo said after the game, he said, the weather just didn't really allow us to do it. He said, we had some looks with Gallup that we were trying to get to. I really didn't see that. Exactly. Gallup was on the field for maybe 15 snaps in the second half. You have to understand that Michael Gallup is your playmaker.
Exactly.
He is the guy who could go in the first round of the NFL draft. He is the guy who got 263 passing yards, had 3 touchdowns.
He is a guy who, even on the field with Josh Allen, may still be the best NFL prospect on the field.
You have to figure out how to get him the ball. If you have to hand him the ball in the backfield or run some sort of flare route or bubble screen or something really silly, just get him the ball once at least.
He wasn't
Have
even
him
on
try
the
to do
field is
something.
one of the bigger issues.
Yeah.
Looking at it, he was on the maybe half of the offensive plays when it was one receiver out. It was BC or Clark, and it's for a blocking receiver. If you're going to have one out there, why not one that draws the safety help?
And we can all agree they would have thrown more if it wasn't snowing, but it's not like the snowflakes are knocking the ball out of the air. You can't completely abandon your game plan because it's
Stevens
snowing.
was throwing it well when it started snowing anyway.
Right.
In the rain, he was throwing pretty well.
Exactly.
Now, we were alluding to the fact that Nick Stevens was unable to throw the ball in the weather. That was not the case for the other quarterback, Josh Allen, a guy who I've been following for quite a couple months now. He's one of the top prospects in the, heading into the 2018 NFL Draft. And it was a really cool experience for those of us who got to go cover him. This is a guy who's going to be in the national spotlight come March and August leading up to the draft. And here we are getting to scout him. What did you guys take away from getting to see him up close and personal?
Well, his game-winning drive only took Wyoming 2 minutes 48 in that poor weather when neither team can move the ball well. That's impressive right there. That shows his NFL potential. He rushed for 11 yards that drive, completed a huge 17-yard pass.
Yeah,
Moved the ball
the whole drive started with that huge 17-yard completion, which I thought, in the middle of a driving blizzard, an NFL prospect needs to make that play, and Josh Allen made the play.
You can barely stay on your feet with that weather, and he's able to lead them 60-plus yards in less than 3 minutes. I mean, that's incredible.
No, I think when you have the NFL scouts really get into him in the combine, you're going to find evidence of really large NFL-sized hands. He was able to grip that football, wasn't turning the ball over. Nick Stevens, on the other hand, a little bit smaller hands. I don't think he was able to grip the football, and ultimately that's why Mike Bobo stayed away from the passing game in the second half.
And he was breaking tackles, too. Granted, they weren't great tackles from CSU, but they were from, CSU D linemen, which are about the size of bigger NFL backers, maybe some speed rushers in the NFL. And watching how, it took 3-4 of them to bring him down. If 1 or 2 of them got there, he was shaking him off. He was running for a gain. Well, that's huge for me.
You're mentioning defensive players who are the size of speed rushers in the NFL. Yeah. That's Josh Allen. He's not playing defense, but with that 6'5", 240-pound frame, you're darn right it's going to be hard to bring him down.
He knows how to use it, and that would be important to me as a scout.
Later on in that game-winning drive you alluded to, the Wyoming Cowboys were met with a 3rd and 3. They ran a quarterback keeper right up the middle, and there was no stopping Josh Allen. He needed 3, he got 6.
And that's huge, knowing that he can do that. Tom Brady's one of the best in the league at getting that 1-2 yards on that sneak, and if he can get 3-2, that is a huge aspect of the game that a lot of quarterbacks can't do.
He's providing such a unique skill set, one that when the year started, I saw, okay, he's a 6'5", 240 guy. He throws the football a long way, and he's capable of, breaking a couple tackles. He's like Andrew Luck, maybe. Like Andrew Luck meets Ben Roethlisberger kind of a thing. It's more than that, though. He makes decisions based on the run. You can almost run read option with him because he's so big, he's so mobile. He's not, what did you say, he's a 4'6", 40?
4.60 40-yard dash for Josh Allen.
Very quick. I mean,
to put that into perspective for you real quick, Cam Newton ran a 4.59 at his combine. So he is very, very fast as far as
prospects go. It's like
go.
Andrew Luck's mind in Cam Newton's body.
Yeah.
Which is the perfect athlete.
Yeah.
A smart, very capable guy.
And it's bigger. Arguably, you're looking at Cam Newton, you're saying, all right, he's a big guy, he's capable of running. Josh Allen has a better arm than Cam Newton does. He has better mechanics. He has better focus on the game. Nick, you and I talk all the time about how Cam Newton's mechanics are terrible and they never improve. Josh Allen doesn't have the most crisp mechanics right now. I didn't see him run a lot under center. I didn't see a lot of 3, 5, 7-step drops, anything like that. But so far, his foot placement and everything is manageable. A couple of throws I saw him make, he had one overthrow and it was that flick pass early in the first quarter. He left his left foot out just a little bit and almost like flick of the wrist, like just basic pass. Like I expected the ball to go maybe 10, 15 yards. 35-yard bomb downfield. Overthrows his guy by 5 yards with a left foot that's way out, which is one of the things that's easily going to hamper the ability to throw the ball hard over a long distance. He overthrows the guy. He doesn't have a full arm motion closing. All of these are very, very fixable mistakes once you get a guy on him.
And even with all those mistakes, he still looks good.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, I could sit here and I could gush about Josh Allen all day, but we only have a couple minutes left. We want to talk CSU basketball. Like I said, we just have a couple minutes left, so let me just get one statement. CSU basketball starts on Friday. They got Sacramento State coming to Fort Collins. How do you guys think the season's going to shake up?
They kind of run, they don't have that star power anymore like they used to. And that makes me really excited because, when it was, we need Gian to win the game for us. It's in Gion's hands. Now it's we need someone to win the game for us. Whoever gets the ball in their hands are likely capable to do it.
With that being said, though, it's still Prentice and JD's team right now. I mean, you have Prentice, JD, and Nico are the three-headed monster of this team. Other than that, you don't have a lot of experience, and you need someone to step up. And someone I like who has impressed me in the exhibition games is Che Bob. Scored 28 and 13 the first game, then 25 and 9. And he's a little off the radar because obviously it's Prentice and JD's team. But if you followed CSU basketball last year, that shouldn't surprise you. In the 14 games he did play, he averaged 9.7 a game, 6 boards. Kid has a lot of potential. He should start. I mean, he can drive, he can shoot from outside. I also like what I've seen from Raquan Mitchell, 6 for 9 from the field in those 2 games, 18 points. He really did. I mean, they don't have a lot of maturity and experience, but after losing Gian and Amagbo and a ton of key transfers, everyone will have a chance to contribute. So we're going to see who can get it done.
You said a word there that I think is the entire season in a nutshell: rebounds. We have two guys right now. Che Bob, like you said, rebounds. He's got averaging 11 so far in the 2 exhibition games, and Nico, who had 16 in both of them. Crazy. But nobody else on the team has really stepped up and said, I'm another rebounding guy who's going to be a big piece. Last year, one of the most underrated pieces about Gian Clavel's ability to play basketball was his ability to rebound as a guard.
Absolutely, double-doubles with rebounding.
Exactly. We're going to need to see rebounding from somebody on this team, and that's kind of that leads into my second piece about the team. We're going to need to see somebody step up off the bench because right now, like you said, Prentice and JD, it's their team. But both of these guys, we know what they're capable of, and I think we can honestly say right now, unless something crazy happens, that Prentice isn't necessarily the star power to win you basketball games. He's going to do great things like draw charges and make clutch shots and be a great decision maker at the point guard position.
Welcome back from the break, Rams. I'm Alex Clow. Let's get to it and talk sports. Well, the Colorado State football team is now 4-2 in the Mountain West after losing to Wyoming on Saturday in the annual border war. CSU lost 16-13. Both teams had to face some adverse weather conditions as the game started off with pouring rain and then moved into a blizzard toward the end of the game. Senior quarterback Nick Stevens had a difficult time. He only completed 14 passes and threw for a season low of 110 yards. Dalen Dawkins carried the offense through the game, rushing for 154 yards on 29 carries, which was a career high. Junior running back Izzy Matthews scored the only touchdown for the Rams. CSU held a 13-9 lead after Wyatt Bryan kicked a 27-yard field goal with 10 minutes and 39 seconds left on the clock. But with just 4 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, Wyoming's Overstreet had a 3-yard scoring run, and this would be the last touchdown of the night. The team returns home this weekend for another late kickoff at 8:30 at night against the Boise State Broncos. This game will be the state pride game where the Rams will debut their new uniforms and look for their first ever win against the Boise State Broncos. The Colorado State volleyball team had a nail-biting match against Boise State last Thursday. The team did pull through, and they did walk away with a sweep and even clinched the Mountain West title, and this marked the 14th time CSU has held the title, and they are still holding a perfect 14-0 in conference play. Senior Jasmine Hanna led the Rams in kills with 13. The first set looked like it would be in favor for the Rams, as they had a solid 20-9 lead, but the Broncos came back real fast to tie 24-24. The Rams fought and closed the set with a score of 27-25. And the third set looked a lot like the first, as it was tied again 20-20, but the Rams came back hot and won 25-22. The team will be on the road for their next 2 matches, beginning with Nevada on Thursday and then San Jose State on Saturday. It is that time of the year again where sports seasons are coming to an end and others are beginning. I caught up with head soccer coach Bill Hempin to talk about what is happening now that the season is over.
So what's next for the team?
Well, they're off this week, and I think they're kind of trying to figure out what life is without being an athlete for only a week, and then we'll kick into our off-season training here pretty quickly after starting next week.
And what can you look forward to for the remainder of the players, since most of them are pretty young?
Well, we're excited about where we are and the contribution that the young players made to the program this year, kind of taking us to new heights. So, you know, getting that freshman season, or in KK's point, her second collegiate season, but first with us, we're really looking forward to kind of continuing the momentum that we started this fall.
I'm definitely looking forward to see what this young team will do next season. It is officially that time of the year, basketball season. The Colorado State women's team opened up their season last Wednesday with a win in an exhibition game against UCCS. CSU won 78-60. The team had a 31-point fourth quarter, and freshman Lena Svathholm started the scoring streak as she opened the quarter with back-to-back threes. She also finished with a total of 14 points. Another freshman, Laura Devo, scored in the double digits with 12 points. Senior guard Hannah Traverti had a double-double with 10 points and 10 rebounds. The team plays this Friday at Moby Arena against Idaho Vandals at 5:30 in the evening. The CSU men's basketball team had an exhibition game on Sunday against Northern Colorado. CSU won 83-79, and this was a special game because all of the proceeds went to a hurricane relief fund for Puerto Rico. This is the home to a former Ram, Jean Clavel, who is now playing for the Dallas Mavericks. This was an uncomfortably close game as the Rams even trailed by 7 points in the first half. Senior Shea Bob made a return to the court this season, and he had a team high of 25 points. J.D. Page contributed another 18 points and made all 8 free throw attempts. The team will host Sacramento State this Friday right after the women's game at 7:30 at night, and this game will open up the 2017-2018 basketball season for the Rams.
Welcome back. I'm Tyler Patterson, here to bring you all the latest in Colorado State athletics. The football team traveled north across the border to Laramie, Wyoming on Saturday, where they took on the Cowboys in the 143rd Border War. CSU lost the bronze boot in last year's game here in Fort Collins, and they were unable to bring it back home from Wyoming on Saturday night. The Rams led the entire game until Wyoming scored a touchdown with 4 minutes and 21 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter, giving the Cowboys a 16-13 lead. Wyoming was led by NFL quarterback prospect Josh Allen. Allen was able to orchestrate a 69-yard touchdown drive late in the game, setting his team up for their second straight Border War victory. CSU struggled to produce points in the second half due to the low temperatures and unexpected snow showers. The entire second half of the game turned into a classic Border War blizzard. CSU had the chance to tie the game with a field goal on their final possession of the game, but the Rams offense went 3 and out and was forced to punt back to Wyoming, who eventually ran out the game clock. CSU quarterback Nick Stevens posted his lowest passing total of the season, completing just 8 of 14 passes for 110 yards. Stevens didn't throw a touchdown or an interception in this game. CSU running back Dalen Dawkins carried the ball a career-high 29 times for 157 yards, and Izzy Matthews also contributed 11 carries for 47 yards and scored the only touchdown for the Rams late in the first half. The nation's leading receiver Michael Gallup was held in check, finishing with just 4 receptions for 29 yards. Colorado State's record moves to 6-4 overall and 4-2 in Mountain West play. The Rams will return home this Saturday to take on the Boise State Broncos, where the team will wear their new State of Pride uniforms. Kickoff is set for 8:30 p.m. Women's volleyball defeated Boise State on Saturday, sweeping the Broncos 3-0. The win for CSU marks the Rams' 11th conference sweep this season and secures the school's 14th Mountain West Conference championship. CSU is led by senior Jasmine Hanna, who recorded 13 kills, tallying her 9th double-digit kill game this season. Paulina Hogard Jensen and Chrissy Hillier also pitched in 9 kills apiece, while sophomore setter Katie Oleksek paced the Rams' offense with 38 assists in the sweep. With the record of 24-2 and a perfect 14-0 in Mountain West play, the number 20 ranked Rams look to finish their season strong heading into the final 5 games of the season. CSU will play the next 2 conference games on the road against Nevada and San Jose State before returning home to Moby Arena on November 15th to take on the Fresno State Bulldogs. Well, basketball season is back, and men's hoop officially began their preseason this past weekend with 2 exhibition games against Colorado Mesa and UNC Greeley. The Rams defeated Colorado Mesa 86-75 on Friday night, but weren't as comfortable Sunday afternoon against UNC Greeley, sliding by with a slim 4-point victory, 83-79. CSU led UNC Greeley by just 2 points heading into the final minute, but clutch free throws from the Rams in the closing seconds helped put the game away. CSU was led by senior forward Shea Bob, who scored 25 points on 9 of 15 shooting, while also grabbing 9 rebounds in 35 minutes of play. J.D. Page chipped in a modest 18 points, seeking 2 threes and shooting a perfect 8 for 8 from the free throw line. Last year's starter Prentice Nixon and Nico Carvacho quietly had 13 and 19 points apiece. Carvacho led the way for CSU in rebounding, finishing with a total of 16 for the game. Both men's and women's hoops will play tomorrow night at Moby Arena. The women's squad will take on Idaho State at 5:30, and the men's squad will suit up against Sacramento State at 7:30 p.m.